Why do my nostrils whisper to me?
Welcome back to another showcase of Ben 10 Back to Blocks. Today we have a very galvanic episode. As you could probably see by the thumbnail, I have recreated gray matter along with another Galvan who you might know in my favorite game, Minecraft. Before I get into showcasing some of the new aliens that I've made, I just want to show some of the technology changes that I've made to the resource pack, starting primarily with the actual Omnitrix. The Omnitrix appears in the first episode of Ben 10 and carries on throughout the entire series, in different forms of course. It is what allows Ben to transform into his different alien superheroes. The Omnitrix in this resource pack, if I do say so myself, has a very nice model. It fits around the player's wrist, it has the icon in the front with the 4 buttons, the little white stripes on the side. It's got the button on top that Ben presses to shoot out the front of the Omnitrix for him to slam down on again and turn into an alien. And it just has all the different colors and stuff. And I just think this model turned out really, really well. So in a chest, where it fits perfectly in the center of any inventory slot, the Omnitrix is not stackable because there is only one. Anything else is an imposter Omnitrix. So how the Omnitrix is held is when in the forehand, the Omnitrix shows up on the side of the screen with the 3D model itself, and when in third person mode, it's just kind of there, you're holding it in your hand. But now, when you switch it to your left hand, which is the hand that Ben actually has the watch on, it changes, so now it's slightly smaller in the bottom corner, and also a slight technical change. Rather than holding the alien icon really small in the right corner, I changed it so now it's really small in the left corner to look like it's actually on top of the Omnitrix. And then of course when I switch to third person mode, it fits perfectly on my wrist, and this doesn't carry over because then it looks weird when I'm walking. Whoa, a magic button that just showed up out of nowhere. Okay, so I added this after the fact because I thought it would be kind of funny and pretty cool. So when I press this button, you can kind of see where this is going. So nothing really has changed yet, but if I go stand over here now, and I go to third person view, the Omnitrix is on my head. So if you're like in a multiplayer world and you see somebody with this around their head, it kind of looks like a face cast. Now on to the actual showcase that everybody's been waiting for. The main man himself, Gray Matter. Gray Matter first appeared in the second ever episode of Ben 10 called Washington, BC. He's often described as a humanoid frog with hyperintelligence, and he's the Omnitrix's sample of Galvan DNA from the planet Galvan Prime. So Gray Matter appears hovering over the Omnitrix looking like this and looking like these in your hands. Or if you were to look at it on me, down there like that, or in my offhand, it would be down there like that. So now let's talk about the actual model that I made for Gray Matter. So he's got his little frog-shaped head colored in gray, the same shade as the show, with his big eyes that have the sideways pupils for him to blink sideways. He's got his little 3-toed feet with the little spike in the back and the black socks kinda that go up to his legs. So his fingers, he's got the 3 little spindly long fingers, and he's got his thumb that comes out on the side, all curved and with his knuckles there, and his arm getting wider as it goes down. His legs, instead of them just being straight up and down like they are on the show, I tried to give them a little bit of detail because I thought that just having a straight up and down block was a little weird. Pretty much the same with the back. Even though the front is completely flat, besides the little stripe that protrudes slightly off of his chest, on the back I gave him some definition, so his back curls backwards into the Omnitrix logo that's actually back here. And he's got the stripe going once again through his entire torso, up the back, around his head, and back to the front. So now with gray matter, he fits slightly smaller than Terraspin does into the item frame. You can still spin him around even though that's not in his power set like that one is. Really, he looks exactly like that model down here, just slightly smaller so we can fit in. And then also inventory slot, you can kind of make him out. He looks like gray matter. He sits there with the little 64 stack right in the middle, fits directly into any inventory slot. And also, I already showcased this, but once again, this is what he looks like in the hands. For the one guy who commented on my Reddit post that he wanted them as little like plushies in his world, this is kind of how you can do it. I also changed Terraspin's model over here, so that instead of him showing up really small on the left hand, he is once again like a plushie. And now finally, the moment you've all been waiting for. Even though I have the Omnitrix in my hand, I still haven't programmed in any function for it. So, here we have the almighty command block, and it'll allow me to turn into gray matter. It's hero time. Well, that was slightly anticlimactic. There he is! My boy! We have our little gray matter here. He walks around just like the Terraspin does. Love when he crouches, how he just kind of sinks into the floor. I don't have any animations out yet, but when the resource pack gets more developed, I will incorporate animations into the transformations and into each of the aliens themselves. So I'm sure you're all wondering where this last mysterious alien that I said I made is. Well, maybe this will give you a little hint. Everybody, welcome into Minecraft, the Omnitrix's creator, the first thinker of the Galvan race, the sculptor of worlds, the smartest being in 3, arguably 5, galaxies, Azmuth. As I mentioned during the introduction, Azmuth has all of those titles. Azmuth is a Galvan, helping to reconstruct Galvan Prime after its destruction, and also the creator of Planet Primus, the DNA pool for all of the aliens in the Omnitrix. And of course, since Azmuth isn't one of Ben's transformations, he doesn't show up on the left side over there on top of the Omnitrix. Instead, he stays in your forehand position and looks like this when holding. Now if we want to look at Azmuth's now if we want to look at the model I made for Azmuth, I think that this one, it was pretty tricky to do because he actually wears like flowing clothing, but I think I did a pretty good job. Like gray matter, he does have the frog-shaped head, but unlike gray matter, instead of having the line up top, he has the 3 wrinkle marks and the 2 wrinkle marks over here, and his eyes, rather than having the green go all the way up and down, are slightly more closed. Also different from gray matter, his jaw protrudes more off of his face due to the art style that they chose to take in Ben 10 Ultimate Alien and Ben 10 Alien Force, which is what I'm basing this model off of. Also differing from gray matter, Azimuth has facial hair, which doesn't make sense because he's a frog, but here's his little facial hairs. He's got the Master Shifu look going on the sides and a little goatee on the bottom. Also, a difference from gray matter is the back parts of his feet over here don't go back as far as gray matters do. Once again, I think that's just a little subtle change in the art style in between the 2 series. And also, instead of having like the black socks that gray matter wears, he has the black socks, but Azmuth has the little metal covering going over up onto his legs that he also has on his sleeves, shoulders, and neck. Speaking of the neck, his posture is terrible. This was really fun to make because he just looks so terrible. Like in comparison to gray matter, who has much better posture, might I say. His neck is a lot more straight, while Azimuth's has his like hunched over and curled. He pretty much has the same hands as gray matter does, but his sleeves go down a little bit further because that's just how he's drawn. Something else to note is his robe here. So I actually, since this is a 3D model instead of a 2D drawing, you can look inside the robe. I don't know how we can get a good angle, but over here, if you can see this subtle color shift, the robe is open, and you can see his leg goes up and bends around here. He has the same like detailing on his calves and thighs that I gave to gray matter, just he has like slightly bent knees. The same on the other side. I made the colors slightly different so you can kind of see the difference between the completely pitch black leg and the kind of really dark green that is the inside of his robe. So here is now Azmuth in the item frame. He's exactly the same as on the ground. Something else I forgot to mention before is that because of Azimuth's bad posture, he's slightly shorter than Gray Matter. You can't really tell in the item frame because his sizing is messed up, but side by side, he's definitely shorter. And then in the inventory, you have him once again fitting perfectly into the slot in the middle, with a little 64 on the bottom. And then if you want him solo, this is what he looks like. Unfortunately, because of how much I had to scale him down to fit him into the slot, you can't really see his facial hair, and you can't really see his mouth because of his protruding jaw. But that concludes our showcase for this very Galvan-filled episode of Ben 10 Back to Blocks. As you can see, I've retransformed into Gray Matter due to the outro, so I can stand next to Azmuth. Alright, well, thanks for watching. Comment in the comments who you'd want to see me make next, and if you enjoyed this video, I'm gonna say it. Like and subscribe. It would really help me out as I'm trying to develop this new resource pack for Ben 10 Back to Blocks. Alright, see you next time.